Foresight Wrestling Podcast on the one and only 411 Podcast Network.
You are listening to the 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast. It is a one-on-one match this week. Steve, how you doing?
Ding, ding, ding. Here we go. Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well also. The weather's kind of picked up here in Wisconsin.
It's not as horrible, aside from, the mollywhopping we got of storms last weekend.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like July.
It's starting to feel like summer. And a pleasant, well, I mean, it's always felt like summer the last couple of weeks, but now it's actually like a summer that you can bear.
That is true. I just retweeted something on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that, but it said it was the hottest day of the year, and then it had like a sweat level. It was like hot, blistering, all this sweating thing. And at the way bottom was Shane McMahon. And then it just showed a picture of him drenched in sweat.
That's good. That's
that guy
good.
Sweats a lot.
He does. And it doesn't take much. Like, he's sweating before he even hits the ring.
Well, if I was in the ring with Roman Reigns, I'd be sweating too.
Good point. Good point.
Taking stunners. All right, so we got a bunch of things to talk about this week. We got some AEW TNT news that we kind of knew was coming. We got a little... October 2nd. We got a little Raw reunion from Monday night.
How interesting that was. I actually tuned in for the whole show, and
wow.
I even put the internet down.
Whoa. First time for everything.
I like to follow along with some of like the more funny Twitter pages as they live tweet that stuff, so it's quite funny as they make jokes while the show is going on.
Yes, that is funny. But then we got a little talk about some WWE Network free tiers, VIP, however you pronounce it. Is it tiers, tires?
Tiers. That is tiers, as in levels.
I usually have lots of tears while watching Raw, but not this week. Not this week.
What a groaner. Starting him off early.
And then actually a little CM Punk interview he gave. So
yeah.
we will be talking about that, a couple of interesting quotes. And then
very definite about his position.
I think he made that clear, and the ESPN title of the article also made that very clear.
Right.
But, in the kayfabe world, you never know.
You never know.
And then also a Twitter question, which I may or may not forget for the second week in a row. You never know. So
we'll try to remind you.
We'll try. So we're going to kick it off here with John Cena coming out on Raw. We talked about this last week. The rumor was him and Rock would not be there, but
right.
I had an inkling Cena would be there. It's in Tampa.
As the week progressed, they came out with it and said, yeah, okay, he's going to be here.
I like how...
you got us.
All right, fine, he'll be here. I like how the story was he did a segment left right after.
I read that. You think about it, the dude's busy.
He's back to London.
He's back to London. He probably had to catch a flight, but just did this one. He's probably on vacation from shooting some movie, and they were just like, can you please, we need you, Mr. Cena.
He does live in Tampa, so I'm not sure if it's a vacation, but...
Well, he was taking a break from filming back home for a little bit, like the rare chance that he's ever home.
Putting his feet up, and then the phone
rings.
Right,
and then like, can you please come back?
Please, we need someone to mention the Usos DUI.
Speaking of which... Again!
Wow.
It's almost like foretelling, like...
Yeah, a lot of foresight on that one. The thing with the WWE always comments and says they're responsible for that, and they are.
True.
It's true. I don't care what line of work. You make your own decisions at the end of the day. I'm sorry.
Right.
But at some point, do they need to suspend him? Do they need to kind of step in and be like, we're going to not send him to rehab necessarily, but they have to do something? Because last time he got busted, days later, they won the tag titles.
Right. I know that from a legal standpoint, they can actually come out and tell you what to do. So they, as people, could be like, dude, you got an issue?
I think in the wellness, that's after your second strike, you're either sent to rehab or released. And I think that's what Umaga, however you pronounce it. I think didn't Regal always say Umanga?
Yeah, Umaga.
Umaga. So I think at that point they do, but again, these aren't, I guess, wellness suspensions or anything.
Right. Technically alcohol is a legal substance. If you're of age, check your local listings.
Oh boy.
So he is responsible for his own actions, but as a human being, you'd have to think that somebody at some point is going to be like, dude, you got a problem,
Yeah.
There's no stigma anymore. It's a common thing. Go to AA, do your steps.
And it's in Florida where they all live. Most of the guys live there. And I think it's the second one this year, and then even I think a few years ago
and that's mandatory jail time, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure he'll avoid the jail time, but at some point it just feels like something has to be done. Because what's next? A fourth arrest?
Well, now you have to understand where we come from.
Uh-oh.
There have been people here that have been charged with 10 OWIs and are still driving on the road. So, I mean, it's kind of a hard gauge for us.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, I mean...
I don't have a twin brother.
Well...
I certainly don't. Well, maybe.
Anyways.
So back to the opening segment. What did you think of it when Rikishi came out? They tried to dance. They tried to rap. They made fun of Cena for his leaving for Hollywood.
Right.
Obviously, the DUI remarks Cena came back with, and it kind of led to nothing with, Cena not really doing anything.
Well, from what I heard, a lot of the legends couldn't be medically cleared, so there was really no chance we could see a stink face or, a Gerald Briscoe bulldog or a Pat Patterson wind up or, something like that.
Does that explain why Brock Lesnar does nothing physical?
Well, I mean,
Maybe he's not cleared.
Maybe he's not cleared because... Never mind.
He can hop around. Oh,
next.
Next.
So what kind of got me though is I was really hoping that they were going to use the other Rikishi theme.
Yes.
With the I don't know.
Yes, Too Cool.
Yeah, the Too Cool theme. I don't know. For me, that one has more of a groove and like a bounce to it. That I was really hoping to get the dance thing going on.
Yeah, the music they used was Scotty 2 Hotties during his solo run.
Right.
Sure.
And then like Rikishi kind of absorbed that when I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know if you read my 411mania.com column review of this, but I even wrote, where was the music?
Where was the music?
Like, come on. That was I wrote in the good, bad, and the ugly, and that was one of the bad. It was like, come on, if you're going to do that, you got to
do it. I mean, that's if he can't do the stink face, he's got to do the dance. One or the other. I mean, and that should be contractual.
Yeah, in writing, you're
right.
doing it. And if he can't be cleared to do a stink face, he's, I don't know.
Maybe they just didn't want to see the doctor. I don't know. They didn't. But from what I heard, like a lot of those, like the whole reason why Pat Patterson's title win was so horrible looking.
I mean, Ted DiBiase wasn't even pinned on camera.
Well,
he was in the limo, and
yeah, exactly.
They just come out new champ. Okay.
Maybe they just were like, "I'm showing up, but I ain't doing anything."
Yeah, well, I'm not doing anything. So,
yeah.
All right. So that led to nothing. It was the Usos then versus the Revival. What'd you think of this with Devon at ringside for some reason?
It was interesting to see Devon away from his, brother. Oh my, testify. But at the same time, I mean, you also kind of knew that he wasn't. I mean, they're not going to lead up to anything because Devon really ain't much without Bubba. Sorry, I hate to say it, but the Dudleys are the Dudleys as a team. To me,
that is the cold hard truth. Unfortunately, Booker T was on commentary. I didn't think really added anything before they went to commercial, though.
Yeah, but could you dig it, sucker?
I can dig it. I was thinking that this was kind of pointless, but I understand they wanted to just show Hulk Hogan was there. But him and Jimmy Hart were standing in the. Did you see this?
I did, and I have to say, I hate using the term, but I marked out because I saw Jimmy Hart, and I was all of a sudden excited because I was thinking Hart Foundation, Nasty Boys, all that stuff. Just like I could picture Jimmy with the microphone and megaphone thingy just going wild.
Yeah, I'm not sure that guy ages either.
He really doesn't. I mean, that guy just looks fantastic.
Yeah, he's still got great hair. I'm jealous, but
it's Jimmy Hart, baby.
I think they just showed him to kind of like keep the audience tuned in, but
yeah.
I mean, Hogan was threatening to like beat up, whoever, like Angle, and who do you want me to go after, Flair, and all this stuff, and seemed kind of pointless to me, but I understand it. All right, so then we have some more Santino Marella, Tori Wilson, Alicia Fox, Caitlyn, Dana
Brooke.
Brooke.
To see the Cobra.
Yes, Santina Marella was even mentioned.
She was mentioned, right?
She was mentioned.
She's
no
homesick.
appearance. And unfortunately, the stud Drew McIntyre was having none of this and just kind of walked right past. He didn't care. He didn't care for any of these people.
Oh boy.
Unfortunate, but
yeah,
didn't really do much.
I mean, if I recall, the last time he and Santino were in the ring together, it probably didn't end well for Santino.
Does anything ever end well for Santino?
The Cobra.
Oh, the Cobra.
I mean, the Cobra was nice to see.
All right. Well, I was happy always to see Kate Lynch. I thought she did great.
Yep, that was very cool.
Mae Young Classic, little comeback story last year. Tori Wilson was one of the surprise people that were going to be there, but she didn't do much of anything either. I'm not sure why Alicia Fox was announced as one of the legends returning.
Yeah, that was kind of odd. I mean,
we love her, but no.
I saw a comedian tweet, and Alicia Fox is here to remind you that Arn Anderson is not.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's a little busy right now, becoming elite, I think.
Thank you, WWE Creative Humor.
All right, so we got the first of many 24/7 title changes. So Drake wins, and he's all excited about, consummating
And
the
it looked
marriage.
like Renee helped him even.
Yes.
Like she's getting on board with the thing.
I don't know if that's slowly where this is leading, or is she going to turn on him to win?
I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I'm loving it either way. I mean, this 24/7 thing turned out to actually be kind of a little gem.
I remember it was supposed to be only the third hour.
Right. And now we have 8 title changes in
with
one
the
night.
dimmed lights that lasted a week.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful, but all right.
They really made they did well with it with the legends this year this time around with this
we'll get to
episode.
all that, but I thought that may have it seemed like while writing the show they probably spent more time on that than anything else.
It did seem like that, didn't it?
It definitely did. Up next we had the stud Drew McIntyre completely decimate Cedric Alexander. We talked about this last week.
Yeah, he was going to get one back.
He was going to get it right back. It wasn't even. I don't even think it was a match, was it?
No, he didn't let him. Basically, he doesn't like the music even. Everything about Cedric must aggravate him.
must end. Well, the good news is after that we did get another new 24/7 champion. The Boogeyman apparently was placing worms around the locker room and put him in Drake's suitcase so he couldn't leave. He freaked out, and Pat Patterson is the new 24/7 champ.
How about that?
I would never guess that at all.
Yeah, I didn't. But once you saw him, I kind of was like, I could see it. I mean, he did win the hardcore title once or twice or something.
Yes, he did.
I think everybody did back then.
And he did. I think even Terry won it. Or one of the Godfather's hoes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Raven won it about 40 times, I think. But yeah, I even wrote in the column, I said, is Gerald Briscoe next to relive their epic King of the Ring 2000 feud? They had a evening gown match.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes.
I sadly remember that.
The Attitude Era people.
Right.
That everyone
Evening
won.
gowns.
Yes.
And Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Great writing there. But,
Stooges.
and Russo was gone, folks, so don't blame him on that one. So up next, we had the Viking Raiders versus Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Kind of a nothing match.
This was sad.
To me, the highlight was Christian came up for commentary.
Yep. It was good to hear that music again, too.
And Lillian Garcia.
Who
I'm not even sure announced the winners.
No, I think she kind of forgot.
She may have forgot, but I've told this story before. But a lot of time when WWE comes to Wisconsin, it's during winter months.
Right.
And I've told this story before, so it's nothing new, but I'll just tell it again for Lillian. But I think it was 2 or 3 times in a row. This was, years and years ago, probably over 10, 15 years ago, whatever it was. And everybody immediately darted to either to their bus, to their car,
right.
Get out of Dodge.
Everybody leaves.
Snowstorm, it's below zero.
Of course.
And out comes Lillian. I think it was 2 or 3 times in a row in whatever mini skirt dress she's wearing.
Oh, my.
Came over by everyone after the show, 10, 11 o'clock, and signed autographs for
Aww.
everyone. Super nice, and it was great. So
those stories, I love those stories.
So anytime I can say that story, I will say that was absolutely awesome of her.
Awesome. Lillian Garcia, stand-up gal right there.
Stand-up gal, and even if she doesn't announce the winners, we don't really care either
We
way.
don't mind. It was just a pleasure to see her.
It's Viking Raiders versus Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins.
We all kind of already knew the winner. She didn't have to say it.
No. So up next, we had Maria Kanellis yelling at Mike Kanellis.
Again.
Big surprise there.
I had
And
some PTSD kick in for this feud.
Maria's doing great, I think. I'm loving it. She wanted him to, rub oil on her belly or something?
Yes. Well, because,
to be a model or something?
No, see, when women get pregnant, they get larger, and sometimes the skin doesn't react as well, so it creates marks. And
Stretch marks?
Yes. And so if you can moisturize properly, you may have the potential to avoid them.
Okay.
So she was hoping that she was going to have a modeling career because, you don't want to take pictures with stretch marks. And
didn't she post a picture on her Instagram?
You'll have to tell me I'm not on Instagram.
I'm not either, but I'm pretty sure I saw it.
But, Cat Williams said it best. If you got stretch marks, it's because you was big and got small, or you was small and got big. Either way, we happy.
There you go.
Censored for the young ears at home.
That's actually a good way to put it. Anyways, Mike was just trying to talk to Eve and Eric Bischoff. He was just trying to chill at the party and do nothing.
Right.
And came Maria, and
she ruined
it. Ron
everything.
Simmons, though, was around, put his one-word answer.
I love it. I was freaking out at that point too.
We love Ron Simmons, and I wrote about this in the column for 11mania.com that I, whatever Raw this was years ago, he was he's just walking around the concession area and got a picture with him and shook his hand.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Up next.
One word to resurrect a man's career.
Former world champ.
Yep.
Now he's one
First
word.
ever African-American champion, and now he gets one word.
And that's all he needs, honestly.
But, later on, they had some commercial. I can't remember what the product was, but there he was, and he delivered his one word. It was beautiful. It was a wonderful commercial.
I got to Google this.
I laughed very hard.
I got to look this up, but we got the OC. That is the name they're going for.
That's what they're going with, I guess.
I think it's the original only club?
The original only club that matters.
There's a third O in there. It's the original, I don't know, whatever. There's 3 O's I know for sure, but I can't think of the other one. But either way, the OC, what do you think of the name?
A name's a name. I mean, it's kind of, I think it flows, it works well, and it's going to be up to the team to really cement it in our heads as something to be reckoned with. I think that they can do it. They got the talent, they got the tools, and I think the name is just going to be what they use. I think before you know it, we're going to be chanting it like crazy.
The OC?
Yeah, OC. Oh, can you hear it? I mean, just they have this epic feud, and they start turning towards the face side of things. And
I could see them turning for them, absolutely.
Give it a couple of months, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. The only thing I think of is the old TV show, The OC.
Right, I thought about that too. But then again, I mean, I didn't follow that show very closely, so I just thought about it real quick, and then I was like, all right, well, let's see where they go. Obviously, they're a club. They're the old Bullet Club, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, they got to work in the club somehow.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had an older sister who was obsessed with it. So all I hear is California. So I just hear that over and over. They should use that as their theme song. But...
Actually, my first band was called OC.
Oh.
It was originally Organized Confusion, and then we found out that was I think a rap stable back in the early 90s after NWA. And so then we just shortened it to OC.
Oh, I see. So we
came up with different names. We said it was optically challenged. It was what does OC mean? We just came up with something different every time somebody asked.
Is that like CM Punk, the CM?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. We did get the Gerald Briscoe title change.
Woo!
Not too surprising there. I think that was kind of what was going to come. And then all of a sudden, who shows up? Kelly.
Kelly. I was never the biggest fan of her in-ring work, but it was nice. It's always nice to see legends returned, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think I saw this. Well, first of all, congrats on being the first
ever female champion.
I thought it'd be Carmella for sure.
Right, you think so?
I thought that's for sure where this was headed, but maybe Carmella is just a good friend and watches out for R-Truth. We'll see about that.
I mean, you never know, but yeah, I honestly didn't expect them to have just a one-off woman's first ever. I thought that like Carmella, you said, would run with it, or maybe even Zelina, or somebody would come in with it.
Yes, Zelina. We should get her back on TV as
Absolutely.
soon as possible. But a little thing I saw on Twitter, again, I'm sorry if I don't know where this originally came from, but I think it's Kelly is, I think it's 6 or 9 months younger than Charlotte.
Really?
Because Kelly was 19, remember, when she came in. So she just seems old.
She was always on TV for, like every week she was there, and she was a champion a couple of times and all that. So
I mean, she just started so young.
Right. That's crazy. I didn't realize she was that young.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. But up next we had Samoa Joe.
Wait, so does that mean Charlotte Flair is old?
No, that's not. I'm just saying
Kelly is just very young. Okay.
It seems like she's been gone forever. It's kind of like Rhino. Right. I think he's even younger than most people think.
Yeah.
And it just seems weird sometimes you think of these guys but whatever, before I put my foot in my mouth even more. Samoa Joe came out.
Yeah.
As usual, I wrote in my column, I didn't actually like the material he was given here, whether it was his or not.
Yeah.
I thought it got stale throughout the night and throughout the week. Almost every heel was just saying, screw the legends. This is for current times, and it came repetitive. Everyone came. The OC ripped on him too, and I think a heel later on said the same. This is our time. Quit stealing our spotlight. And after the third or fourth time you hear it, it's like whatever.
Right.
We get it, and even with the fans going off all about it and the nostalgia and all that crap, but. Here's the thing, though. It's Samoa Joe, so he made it work.
I mean, Samoa Joe is a promo master. I think you could give him a piece of Swiss cheese, and he could cut a killer promo on it.
I don't like Swiss cheese.
Well, and in this case, neither would Samoa Joe.
I don't know. He might like Swiss cheese. I don't know. But either way, then came out Roman Reigns, and I thought, oh, all right, SummerSlam.
Right. I thought that's what we were leading to.
And, well, nope, then the bell rang, and Roman Reigns, well, I thought this was building towards perhaps The Rock with all the Samoan talk.
Right.
Of course not, because I think Rock will be saved for the SmackDown Fox debut. But Reigns came out. I'm pretty sure he won in, 10 minutes? And then that was it.
Well, I mean, they had to move things along. There was a lot that they had to get through tonight at that particular period. So, I mean, obviously there were some things that were going to get rushed and moved along. But I did like kind of the little Samoan back and forth. Well, you're from the island. You know what happens next. I thought that was a good line.
Yeah, and they couldn't have just did the promo segment and moved on and saved the match for SummerSlam?
I was kind of hoping that was what was going to happen, but they were, they're trying to bump up ratings, and you can't just solely rely on the legends you got to have some good, solid entertainment, too.
I would have liked to save that. You could have not done the 10-minute match, figure out something else to do for 10 minutes, because now here we are 2 weeks, and guess what? Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe do not have a match.
Yeah, so where are we going, folks?
I don't know where we're going, but Reigns is second man on the poster for SummerSlam behind Brock Lesnar. So,
yeah, I remember us saying a couple of weeks ago, there's plenty of time. Well, now we're kind of getting to crunch time. So I think
once Shane was kind of moved over to Kevin Owens,
right?
Reigns was kind of like, well, now am I facing the stud again for the 10th time? Or what am I doing here? But they had the match. Of course, Reigns won and Samoa Joe lost, whatever. So up next, we had a little bit of SummerSlam build. I know, impossible to believe. SummerSlam.
They actually talked about it.
I actually talked about it. So Miz TV had Rollins come out, and he pretty much ripped on Paul Heyman. So...
yeah.
Little build there, and then Heyman went running when Rollins threatened to come up there and beat him
up.
Well,
he's just an advocate.
He's just an advocate. And then he turned around and, that looked actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
So up next was kind of something that I just mentioned, but, Sami Zayn. Here we go, complaining about the legends.
Right.
Same heel promo we've heard. And
it didn't stop with Raw, apparently. Sent out a tweet that was like, you have me and you're blowing it, or something like that.
Does it ever end with Raw with Sami Zayn?
That's true.
So then Kurt Angle and Mysterio, and of course, that leads to a match in a little bit. But we got more 24/7 title changes. We had Melina, who I guess was training to be a referee.
Yep, I saw that. She just got her license.
Yeah, I didn't know about that, but either way, Candice Michelle, new 24/7 champ.
Milwaukee bred.
Yes.
How about that?
Candice Michelle, she was wearing quite the outfit there, and suddenly Melina is the ref, and Kelly
as this segment went on, I was kind of like, she looks like she's in ring gear. Why is she in ring gear?
What is she doing?
What is she doing? And then, obviously, second female 24/7 champion.
And then immediately the third, because as she was doing her usual dance, which she still got it, you can chant that when she comes out.
Yep.
Alundra Blaze, she showed up. And
what a cameo.
And I guess she was the new champ.
Yeah, well, I mean, she made it work. And I kind of saw what was coming as she kind of, walked away. I'm like, oh, boy.
Oh, boy, they're going to do it, aren't they?
They're going to do it again.
And this is another one of those, you mentioned the, getting cleared. I wonder if, none of them could do anything, because she literally stood there and choked her. And
just basically made her tap out.
And literally stood there and did nothing. And either way, it was great to see Melina, because she was at Independent show recently I was at. And back in January, during my bold predictions column, I had Melina returning.
And there she was.
So up next we had Sami.
So how many is that now? Are you like?
I've run out of points to give myself, so I don't know.
I'm just wondering, have they all come true yet, or
no?
Right.
Time.
We still got time yet.
Still got The Rock. So, anyways, Sami Zayn versus Rey Mysterio. This was absolutely nothing. It was basically just a setup for Mysterio to win. But the big story of it was, out to help him was Kurt Angle, the Hurricane.
Yes.
Who obviously is already backstage. Sergeant Slaughter.
Yep.
And the big surprise that I had before, but RVD was there.
I can't believe when that music hit, I'm like, no. Isn't he under contract?
Yes, that is on Twitter. 4 or 5 days ago, I wrote that 2 people were returning that weren't advertised.
Yeah.
The girl, I had one female, one male. The female was Tori Wilson, and the The male that I thought would be a bigger story was RVD. I thought this was going to be a huge story. I thought it'd blow up because Impact, obviously, he's one of the
right,
main
exactly.
guys. I thought this was going to be a big thing, blah, blah, blah. Turns out, like, nobody really cared.
Yeah, I saw that. Like,
okay, cool, Impact.
Make jokes about it a little bit later.
Yeah, okay, they made a deal, and, you know, perhaps that was why Rhino was allowed to appear at Slammiversary days before his contract, if you remember the Christian Ric Flair deal a few years ago.
Right.
So it just ended up kind of being nothing, but I thought, like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to, like, be a story, RVD, and no, it really wasn't. Nope. He came out high as a kite and clearly no medical
and
testing.
He just might. Well, yeah, I mean, there we go. There was also why he couldn't get cleared. Nah, dude, you've already done a frog splash tonight. You're still up there.
Yeah, he's got to come down from the top turnbuckle. But a part of me thinks that when Mysterio did the splash and did the finger pointing,
right?
A part of me thinks that was going to be RVD doing the frog splash. And then they're like,
you think?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe Mysterio should just do it.
Right.
Either way, I thought it was fun. Another loss for Sami Zayn.
You know, I was actually really looking forward to this match because, you know, for those of you who know Sami Zayn, he used to be El Generico, which, you know, basically a Canadian luchador. And I was really hoping that we would see some, like, classic, like, lucha, you know. I could picture him in the ring being like, hey, let's do something, you know, straight up luchador.
Put these on the kickoff show. Remember, it's in Toronto at SummerSlam. Give these guys 25 minutes on the kickoff show.
Oh, my God, that would be crazy.
It would be fine by me. I'd use
what
the
if he
Mysterio.
put the mask back on?
Put the mask back on. Loser loses mask or something.
Right. Or, you know, one night only, Generico comes out. I mean, what could it hurt, you know?
I mean, Kevin Owens is already getting the spotlight. Natty Neidhart and Natalia, whatever. She's getting the spotlight. It's Canada, so... You know, I wouldn't be against another rematch, and a little pizzazz added on to it.
Right.
So it makes sense.
I think it'd be great.
I think it would be great. Up next, we had the Street Profits talking about
RVD.
eye drops, and Mark Henry had champagne in the bathroom or something.
Something like that. There was some celebration going down.
I don't know what this was all about, but the report today, I think Street Profits aren't going to actually wrestle on Raw. This is more of just kind of to get some NXT names out there.
Okay.
In case they do get moved to TV in the next few months.
Because they do have, they are defending their championships against Undisputed Era at TakeOver.
Yeah, Fish and O'Reilly, and I'm pretty sure Roderick Strong is getting...
He's going after the North American title.
Yeah, and if I remember back in January, they've mentioned this a few times. Undisputed Era were having little issues with each other,
right?
If you remember? And they said by the end of the year, we're going to have all the gold.
Oh, my God. This would be awesome.
So I just wonder if that's where it's headed. But, of course, we still got Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. But I guess we can kind of get to that in a little bit.
What if Adam Cole loses and he's the only one without gold? Is he really going to be the leader anymore? Ooh.
I don't know. There would definitely be a disputed discussion there.
The era would get disputed. It's no longer
Yeah, I like how he said I could be called up in a day or in a few months, or I'd be in NXT forever. So he was giving no hints about anything. So everyone that keeps waiting for him to be called up. We had the 24/7 title nonsense continue. Alundra Blaze came out and was going to pull a Medusa and trash the title.
Very close.
How
had the
dare
can
she?
And everything. Well, you know, she did it 20 years ago. Might as well do it again.
That is a coveted, respectful title.
Can you say that with a straight face, really?
I can't say anything with a straight face.
Yeah, good point.
Luckily, we were saved by the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase.
I thought this was awesome.
And he bought the title.
Yep, just like he did back in 1980, whatever. Andre wins it off of Hogan.
88?
88, I think you're right, yep. Who obviously kicked out, but, you know.
Controversy.
Hogan kicked out. Sorry, Andre. He kicked, you know, whatever. Anyways, so he gives it to $1 Million Man, and, you know, Jack Tunney would not have stood for this, I just want to say.
No, and if you believe reports, Alundra, she may have enjoyed the... cocktails a little too much that night, but whatever. Her promo was a little slurry, if you ask me, the way she was yapping. But either way, Ted DiBiase.
Right. I want to point out, and I hate to break kayfabe here, but
don't do it.
That stack was mostly paper if you look closely.
Dang it, I did not look closely.
I saw a couple of hundreds in the back, couple of hundreds in the front. See, Ted made the mistake of fanning it out.
Oh.
And unfortunately, they didn't. Apparently, they didn't get prop money. But, you know. Yeah, that was probably Vince's $400 right there.
No, they can afford everything else, but not actually
prop
money. No. Use the prop money and paper on the inside.
But way to go, Ted DiBiase, 24/7 champion. Proud of you.
Way to break kayfabe. I still picture Virgil walking around.
Oh, man, that would have been great. Oh, but, Virgil's got to work for that money.
Oh, he's got all those autographs signed.
Right, he's got to set up a table somewhere. He's probably at the Washington County Fair right now.
I'm not going to say he's probably outside the arena in Tampa. All right, we're just going to move on from that. Still.
He's still there.
3 days later, where is everyone? All
autographs.
right. Autographs free?
I'm Virgil. Who?
Somebody walks by. You're Virgil?
Former $1 Million Man champion.
Just punches him in the face.
Right.
All right, so Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles was up next. If you remember, this was actually the Money in the Bank feud a few months ago. That seems to have kind of been forgotten about. Really, though, this meant nothing. It was all about DX and the OC.
The whole night was pretty much just to bump up the legends, and there was really nothing of substance except for maybe the SummerSlam build-up.
Yeah, I thought the next night actually was better with Dolph Ziggler taking out Michaels.
Right.
And I thought that, well, it was like, okay, and then Miz came to his defense. Like, that actually built to something.
Right.
So it's like, okay, now this story actually has a little pizzazz to it and a little heat to it versus this. The OGs stood up to the OC.
Yep.
And then the OC just kind of walked away. The story in the backstage here was apparently this was going to be for Ricochet.
Yeah, I read that, but poor guy is not feeling well.
No, I think it was, what was it called? Like an elbow or infected or something?
Oh, yeah, elbow infection.
Infection, something. So that kind of sucks. But
that
again,
does suck.
That just shows that everybody is behind Ricochet right now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Even if he didn't get the moment, I think that speaks more highly of him, and he will get that moment eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had, yet again, another title change for the 24/7. We had Drake Maverick defeated Ted DiBiase, and
yep.
It was inside the limo.
At least we think he did.
I mean,
maybe he bought it back.
Was Virgil the driver, or was...
You never know. Who knows? I mean, Virgil could be anywhere.
I'm still living in the kayfabe world, so I was wondering where Ted DiBiase's belt was and if he's going to hold 2 titles, $1 million.
Well, from what I understand, the $1 million title is actually in the archives.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
he's got to bring that out in his paper money. But either way, Drake, I mean, he was going to consummate the marriage finally.
Yep, he was so happy about it until...
Well, we will get to until, but he was excited at them. How many times has he won the title now? What is Truth up to? I mean, Ric Flair, watch your back. Those titles are...
Yeah, we got to be at least in the 8s or 9s.
The 8s or the 9s. Up next, first we had Mick Foley and Mark Henry talking about, I don't know what. They had big beards, so talking about shaving or something.
Beards and beardmen.
I guess that's what Mark Henry was there for. And then Mick Foley came out, said nothing, just mentioned the 24/7 title and how he was going to win it, and he wasn't going to chase after anybody. And then he was going to point to his favorite moment, and then
this was very interesting because I'm watching this little promo, and I'm like, dude, did you forget to put your teeth in? Like we all know he's got fake bottom teeth, but like he was kind of, because his S's were a little thicker than they normally are. And
I'm surprised all of his teeth aren't, with what he's been through.
Right. So yeah, all of a sudden the lights kind of go out and everything stops, and you knew it was coming next.
Yeah, I liked. There was 2 things I liked about this. Earlier, I don't know if you saw it, but before they went to a commercial break, earlier in the show, the Fiend Quick showed up.
I did see that, yes.
Okay, that quick happened, so it was like, he's coming at some point. One of these legends is getting it.
And who better?
Exactly. Mick Foley loves putting guys over and doing the quote-unquote right thing for business, so it's not a surprise that he was one of the few that actually was thinking, like, hey, how can I help a current guy?
Right.
Instead of, hey, just write me whatever and I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious of what your second thing is here.
My second thing is, well, it's not really anything, but right when the lights started flickering, the crowd, I would say, besides probably Stone Cold or Hogan coming out, I thought it was pop of the night.
Yeah.
Right away, it was, oh my. Run, Foley, run.
Run, Foley, run.
And I know I do this every time something's about to happen. Like when the gong hits, I reach for the remote and I just turn the volume up.
Oh, do you? Wow.
That's what I do. I just go, oh, here we go.
I usually get to the edge of my seat and I'm like,
yep.
like a puppy dog. Like, what? Who? Huh? Bacon?
Bacon. But anyway, the Fiend came out.
I really dug the mandible claw. I hope that he uses this going forward.
Yeah, I wonder if this is almost like the Miz and Ric Flair when he pretty much gave him the figure 4.
Exactly.
And is he going to have the mandible claw?
I hope so. I mean, it just plays into his character so well. Like, Bray Wyatt is killing it. Like, I am intrigued. I would tune in to Raw every week just to see Bray Wyatt. So far I have, since he's come back and before.
Yeah, I know for a while they've been putting him in the third hour.
Right.
So I wonder if that's been deliberate, obviously, to keep viewers tuned in or not. But either way, I thought this was a great segment. I wrote in my column, excellent use of a legend.
Yeah.
That is how it's done.
That's how it's done. And, it's just awesome to see this whole... Bray Wyatt's got a brilliant, brilliant mind. He comes from the family that is just legendary in the wrestling business. So to see him do well and succeed and tell these stories and tell them so well, it's awesome to watch.
Yeah, and he will have his big match at SummerSlam against Finn Balor. And I don't know. Now we're going to find out how these matches are going to go.
I think they're going to go great. I mean, when was the last Bray Wyatt match that you didn't like?
I mean, more of the presentation. Are the lights going to be dimmed? Is it going to be flashy?
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens.
Because he's the Fiend.
Yeah, I'm thinking the mask is definitely going to stay on. I think that when he gets into developing stories, I think when we see him off, like his promos are going to be off camera, and it's going to be the happy child fun host or whatever.
Firefly fun host.
Yes, thank you. The kids show host.
Yes.
Happy Bray Wyatt. And then when he gets to the ring, it's going to be Fiend, and maybe not even speaking as Fiend, just comes out, mask, death ensues, and he goes home.
I would say he doesn't say a word as that. And I liked on SmackDown, I think it was, where, it was all big, dark Fiend and all this. And then Firefly Funhouse came out, and he was all, hey, Finn, how's it going?
Right, yeah.
And all this, and happy-go-lucky. I guess this is the split personality. But, yeah, I'm all for the dark inside the arena, and then every time there's a video, or even on Twitter, isn't he apologizing to people or something?
Yes, he's apologized to pretty much all of his old opponents, thanking them for showing him the way.
Showing him the way. Wow. Well, that's very nice of him.
Yeah. He's turned over a new leaf.
Yeah,
Our new Fiend.
I'm sure he did. So up next we had Natalya on, what was this, A Moment of Bliss? I don't even know what this was.
It was supposed to be Becky Lynch on A Moment of Bliss, and then Natalya just kind of made her way out there. Yeah,
so for my my column, 411mania.com, again, cheap plug, I wrote for the good, bad, and the ugly. This was one of the few segments I wrote the ugly. And all I wrote was the ugly dash Natalya does anything.
Oh, man. You do not like her, huh?
No, I love her. She follows me on Twitter. But anyways, no, here's the thing. All right. Remember my column about Ronda Rousey and we miss her?
Yeah.
Becky Lynch went from main eventing WrestleMania to, the Lacey Evans thing, who hasn't been on TV. But anyways, Lacey Evans, a newcomer. That's cool. Give her a nice spotlight. And actually, I thought for the most part, it was actually pretty good stuff, especially on the pay-per-views.
Yeah, she definitely turned on the promo fire.
And then we get Natalya. I mean, if that's not a free fall, I don't know what is.
Well, no, that's not Becky Lynch's fault. She didn't write it. But at the same time, I mean, we're going to Canada.
But it goes hand in hand. Unfortunately, when you are main eventing that, then it does fall on Becky because she's the one on TV, and now she's got to make a feud with Natalya, try to work.
Well, I mean, time will tell. Maybe that obviously Natalya's trying to get a little edgier with her promos, which I think is not working.
No,
she's not the best talker.
I was gonna say the cadence speaking. She's got to kind of take a deep breath and let the insults settle in, and then get to the next one.
Yeah, she needs to study some film. I think
it's the longest run-on sentence ever when she gives a promo.
Right. But then again, once they get in the ring, though, I think they're gonna put on a classic.
I'm sure it'll be great. I hope the crowd is really hot for this. I hope the Canada idea works. I think Owens will be over huge. I think that'll be
definitely.
Fine.
Owens is over huge anywhere.
Yeah, I hope, though, he gets that extra bump for Canada. And I hope the same for Natalya, because if they come out and start booing Natalya and are just like, nope, we're not accepting her, it could get bad. And I'm reminded of SummerSlam 2004. They tried the same with Edge as Intercontinental Champion. And he
got booed. That's right.
He got booed.
It was him, Angle.
No, Angle was facing Guerrero that night. It was Edge, Batista, and Jericho, triple threat.
Sorry, my fault.
And it's funny because a year later, Batista was main eventing WrestleMania.
Yep.
And Edge, he won Money in the Bank, but he ended up getting turned on heel because the crowd was just not accepting him after his broken neck. And
he
came back, and it just wasn't working.
In his hometown, and he gets booed.
Yeah, as Intercontinental Champion, returning home. And so I'm just worried if that'll be Natalya. Canada's just like, No, sorry, we're not buying into this.
Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe the Hart family carries a little bit.
Yeah, or Bret Hart comes out and
That could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get a little French speaking going on, and
after AEW, and I don't know. But either way, the real part
maybe
of
that would be a big pop. He was on AEW, now he's here and he's popping around. But it depends on him if he feels like moving around.
Yeah, the big story for this is why this got the ugly, is because we have again totally ignored the Alexa Bliss Nikki Cross story. A month ago, that was the best thing going, and now nothing.
Where is it?
Where is it? What happened? They just lost the title. Bliss should be steaming hot. She should be screaming at Nikki. You got pinned. That was my chance to win the title back. And absolutely nothing. Instead, we get Natalya and Becky trying to cut a promo.
Kind of reminiscent of Sasha and Bayley, huh?
Oh, boy. More Sasha talk.
Well, she's been posting pictures.
She's always posting pictures. See, the thing with this is Becky, I'm trying to think who has the better opponent for her. It'd be Sasha if possible. They could do something with Bayley, I guess, champion versus champion, but she's locked up with Ember Moon.
We've done that enough.
And my other thing is, if this rumor about Trish Stratus is true,
which I read, I heard that was actually confirmed.
And she's going to face Charlotte, who seemed to tease that on SmackDown. Again, so Trish couldn't face Becky, so I guess Charlotte, it really is getting that, and Becky's getting Natalya. Or
we get two Canadian, you want to have a viable challenger for the title, so you need to have somebody that's on the roster, full time.
The thing with that, though, is would that mean Trish is going to beat Charlotte? Because I don't think we want Charlotte versus Becky part 4,000.
Well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
If it's a one-off, I'm picking Charlotte. If Trish is back for a little bit of a run, maybe... Right. I
don't know.
I don't think there's a all women's pay-per-view this year.
I don't necessarily see Trish on the staying on for. I think this is a one-off. kind of like Evolution was.
Yeah, it feels like a one-off. And again, even Beth Phoenix is kind of out there. And I hate to say it, but would Nia Jax even be better for Becky at this point?
She's not ready though.
Oh my gosh, she's never been ready. Anyway.
Wow.
So up next, we had the 24/7.
Jeez, dude.
I'm sorry, Becky is not. She is. I don't know. The Seth Rollins
is harsh tonight.
Watry is garbage.
I didn't.
It's been true all along. But seriously, Becky, the hottest thing going a few months ago, main event WrestleMania. Now we're dealing with the Natalya feud. Come on, now I'm not wrong. So, anyways, we got R-Truth in the end. Getting his title.
Got it back.
Back from Drake.
He got it back and got himself a bride.
And he got himself a wife. Unfortunately, Drake
Not his wife, but he got one.
No, he got one. Unfortunately, Drake was left staring at Carmella as Truth left with the limo and his girl and his title.
So now is Carmella salty about this, or does she get it?
I think Carmella gets it. I'm not sure Drake gets it.
I'm not sure Drake gets it. And poor Renee, have you seen her lately?
Well, maybe Renee will get it, but that's a different story. But either way, here's my...
Some marriage is getting consummated.
Somebody's is. Here's the thing with
this went wrong.
Here's the thing with Drake. It always goes wrong. Here's the thing with Drake. Did you see his Twitter post after this?
No, I kept forgetting to check.
He put like a missing poster.
Oh yeah, I did see it. Yes, and Renee was in a small picture in the corner.
It was like 3 months old, 5 pounds, and it was the title.
15 pounds.
Yeah, and then in the corner was also missing. Poor Renee.
Yeah.
What are these two gonna do?
Remember, we used to get these. I don't know if this happened everywhere, but I remember when I was a kid, we used to get these little mailings like every month, and it was Advo asks, "Have you seen me?"
What?
Yeah, it was like missing kids thing, like looking for missing kids.
I remember that.
I remember looking at them every month, and a new one would pop up, and I could just see Renee. Have you seen me?
And then a picture of the title.
Or somebody has a carton of milk, and there's Renee's face on the side, but the title covering her face.
Poor Renee. I hope she's getting paid for all this.
Oh, she is. At least, or Drake's getting a bump or something.
Put her under contract. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe she's got some type of appearance deal worked out. Maybe she signed something
pay per appearance,
right? Or because she was on the Mae Young Classic, so she has been a documented performer in the WWE stage. So maybe they just have her paperwork on file and be like, all right,
Yeah, I
Here's a
hope
check.
it's a little bit more than the like the $500 minimum or whoever the locals that just show up to help.
Is it 500?
I don't know what it is, but I hope it's a little bit more than that. She's been great in this whole thing. I'm loving it.
I'm hoping the guy that, I don't know if you're going to talk about this as we move along here, but I'm hoping the guy that got in the ring with Braun Strowman on Monday.
Yes, this is the next segment.
Yeah, I'm hoping he got a little bit more than the minimum because this dude just got tossed around.
Yeah, a part of me wants to say this was a shout out to James Ellsworth.
It has to be something.
Just
I mean, that poor guy, he was not on the ground more than 10 seconds once Braun got in the ring.
No, but he was probably in the air for about 10 seconds.
Oh my God. I think the FAA probably had to give him a call sign. That dude was just tossed around.
All right, I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to find this guy. I'm either going to get a comment or
Raymond
quote.
Rowe. I mean, that, to his credit, I remember his name. He made that much of an impact on me, but oh my God.
I'm going to find this guy. I want an interview with him, but the thing
please, let's get him in the lab.
Raymond
Rowe, come to the
Foresight
lab.
exclusive. We want the lab. All right, so
Bring it.
So
I can't really pay for your flight, but you just made, what, $500? You can get out here.
The flight is from Braun.
Have Braun throw you over here. I'll pick you up.
From Tampa?
I mean, he could do it.
Oh, this poor guy. But anyways, I thought the funniest part of the whole match was Corey Graves. Did you catch him on commentary?
I'm sure I did, but you'll have to remind me what specifically.
Well, what was the guy's name again?
Raymond Rowe.
So Corey Graves, of course, was just freaking out about the power and kind of laughing and giggling about this poor guy. Then he's like, what's his name? Randy Rhodes?
Yes. Oh, I did catch that. Yeah.
And the announcers, everyone started laughing.
Everybody just was cracking up.
Obviously, a little Brandy Rhodes, a little line there, but
oh man,
yeah. So I'm sure everyone will want to talk about that. But either way, this poor guy, I'm gonna look him up or whoever this
Raymond Rowe.
Yeah, more talented than James Ellsworth in one day. If you ask me.
He was entertaining.
He was certainly entertaining, but it's still more Braun doing nothing and kind of just doing what he's been doing the past 3 years.
Right, basically.
All right, so our big finale, it was finally time. You knew Hogan was coming out. You knew Flair, Stone Cold, everybody, the big celebration, the beer badge.
They were not giving Flair a live mic.
No, and I noticed that right away. It was like, he's not saying much. And probably the best decision, honestly.
I mean.
Probably. So either way.
Space Mountain, baby.
Space Mountain, still going. So Stone Cold gave the big speech. Apparently a big emotional weekend for him, meeting up with everyone, recording podcasts with Hogan. I'm not a big podcast guy. I don't really listen to any, but
that might be one to check out.
That might be one, and I think he even said, like, what did he say? Like, we spent one day, and he's like, this is the best guy ever or something.
Yeah, he said, I hung out with him all last night. We did a podcast all day yesterday, and he's like, this guy is the coolest SOB, I think was his line.
Either way, it was cool just to, when you read about all the other stuff, about whatever their history is.
Yeah. And how often did two heads on Mount Rushmore actually turn and talk to each other? I mean.
Hey, they're on my Mount Rushmore.
They have to be. I mean, if you think about it, Hulk Hogan defined the 80s and into the early 90s.
I think we've talked about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even without us two, anybody, they have to be on it.
Absolutely. I mean, and Stone Cold saved the company. I mean, they were going to go out of business.
That was the 80s and 90s, and I've said it before, but then I have Andre and then I have Cena. With those two, you could probably debate.
Yeah, there's definitely some arguments. I mean, it depends on, are we talking like who was the, because I would put Bruno on there.
Bruno, Rock, Vince, Undertaker, Shawn. I mean, you could probably keep going with, a lot of guys.
On and on and on.
On and on and on, which Stone Cold even went on and on and on until he goes, how much time do I got left?
Right.
And started telling this great Gerald Briscoe story about doing whatever illegal stuff he did.
Right.
And then it kind of got cut off. They played his music. And it was like, all right, good night, folks.
Good night, yep. I was a little nervous because I saw Ric Flair. He had a beer in his hand. I'm
okay.
Like, oh, man.
I think I saw it. Well, he had said he's started drinking a little, not as much, though.
I'm hoping that he's got it dialed in where he knows what he can do because, I mean, that was really scary. I noticed that Scott Hall was not in the ring.
Scott Hall, I think, doesn't he have a pacemaker or something?
No, he's on a drug. I can't remember the name of it, but basically, even if you smell alcohol, it can make you violently ill.
Well, he's got some other thing. I don't know if it's a pacemaker, but he's got something, so he's on the no bump.
Yeah, he's definitely on the no bump, and he didn't even want, and he even admitted, he went on the X-Pac podcast a couple of days after the Raw reunion, and he was like, man, I didn't have a couple with the boys because I can't just have a couple. So he knows he's got a problem. It's really refreshing to see him take the high road, because he was in a real bad state. I don't know if you watched the DDP resurrection of Jake
That was
Snake.
years ago, right?
Yeah, this was years ago. But basically, DDP and Jake the Snake called him up, and the dude was ready to kill himself. I mean, he was in a sad, sad shape. So it's really nice to see him take the high road, get a control of his demons, at least for now, and say, hey, this is a bad scene for me, so I'm just going to check out.
Unfortunately, he does, say all the right things a lot, and then you do see the stories pop up.
Right.
So I wonder if just because it was public, Triple H was like, be on your best behavior.
That could be.
Like, if you're at home with your buddies and cameras are off, whatever. But
right. And maybe that could be. And maybe that was a wake-up call. Like, wow, I was really that bad. I need to be talked to like that. I mean,
yeah.
But he was. That's the scary part is he was. And
he looked horrible. I think, what was it, the indie show where he, stumbled out and, two guys were, holding him to come out or something?
He came out in a wheelchair.
And
there was one show he came out in a wheelchair.
And they still, wheeled him out there. It's like, at what point,
what point do you tell him to stop?
Or tell the promoter, he's not going out there. But they were, wheeling him out there to say hi to the fans, and that did nobody any good.
That was sad. But it's good to see him back. It's good to see him upright and walking. And it was nice to see him have the intelligence to take that high road and be like, not my scene. I don't do well in this scene, so I'm just going to check out. He did his point. He was out there. We all saw him.
Yep.
It's nice to see him, and I'm glad to see that he's taken the high road.
Yeah, I was glad to see a lot of guys, and yes, Scott Hall got his Hall of Fame induction. All that they did, Jake Snake Roberts, DDP. So that obviously had a happy ending there. And this was the show that JR declined.
Right.
And he mentioned today the reason he declined, even though Tony Khan said, if you want to do it, by all means go for it. And he pretty much just said, what kind of message would that send to the locker room?
Right.
If I went and did it, it'd be like, oh, so you're still taking a payday from the evil empire. And now you're going to come and talk about how we're the best talent in the world. So looking at it that way, I do understand it. And, RVD even said he's only in Impact for quote-unquote business reasons.
It makes sense.
In other words, they're paying him.
Right. I mean,
he says,
it was nice to see JR kind of have a little bit of integrity with that. I mean, if you put everything into an organization, you can't jump over to the other side and say, well, these were the best. Yeah. It's like, well,
he was just on Raw a week earlier.
Yeah. Right.
I think, though, obviously the difference is JR's probably getting maybe $1 million, at least high six figures. RVD, probably
not.
So that would be the reason there. But overall, what did you think of Raw Reunion? Obviously, it's best viewership of the year, so that little trick worked. There was a little bump today for the conference call, so they could say, hey, look, we just got our highest viewer. We're turning it around. Yeah,
it was fun. It was a good time, and the show was definitely memorable. I DVR'd it because we had the little kitten things that we had to do, so there was a point where I had to pause it, but it was nice and I was excited to get back to it. I had a great time watching it. Now, what we were talking about last week, they really didn't do much to sell us on next week. So
no,
it was nice to see the big bump, but now what happens when you see the sharp decline? What's that going to say to investors? You do great for this 1 second, and then gone.
Yeah, it'll go down, obviously. We all understand that. It'll go back down. Hopefully it doesn't go down too much. And, I mean, I guess they've announced Brock, but, at that point, I don't know what he's going to do. He is the universal.
My feelings on that.
Yeah, we're not going to talk too much about that. But, yeah, that was my disappointment of the night because I actually wrote a positive review. I'm sure a lot of people. WWE 50 Reasons to Love Him? What do you? No. But anyways, I'm sure a lot of people hated the nostalgia and the legends and everything about it. But for a one-off, I thought, okay, it was a lot of fun. The 24/7 stuff was cool. A lot of unfamiliar faces. Sid apparently canceled. Big surprise there. He tends to do that a lot.
I mean, it's Sid.
That's Sid.
He can't move like he did. You ever see his leg go the other way? That was
WCW.
God, that was bad.
That was bad. And if we're just talking about the show, it was a good show.
Yeah, the show itself was good.
Entertaining. It was very cool. I actually liked Stone Cold that his promo was real, how he said, I didn't know what to say, so I asked the coach. And by the way, the coach was there. Always good to see him. I always like him.
It was nice to see him out there, of course, doing what he does and interrupting everybody.
So I like that Stone Cold. I mean, there was a little, right. So I like that he was kind of off the cuff and, it just made it feel more real.
It was Stone Cold, It
was Stone Cold. And, he's got the USA Network show coming up. So I'm sure everybody will check that out. But as
it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah. And as the unfortunately the negative, they didn't do much for next week. They didn't even. I mean, SummerSlam got minimal hype.
Right.
And if Trish was gonna return, I mean, they could have, I guess, done the Charlotte thing Monday night. But here was a bigger point I made in my column again, 411mania.com. They ran a SmackDown Live event Monday, and they do this some weeks.
Right.
You know, and Reigns wasn't there. So, I mean, who was even at this show? I didn't even bother to look up the results. Obviously, attendance wasn't good. They just need to stop with the SmackDown house shows, live events on Monday nights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because you would much rather tune in TV. I think I saw a picture of the live event, and
it couldn't have been
dismal. It was dismal. There was maybe a front row. Maybe. I'm serious.
Was there a second row?
I think it only maybe went like 4 rows deep before it started just like petering out.
There's no way that's a good idea anymore.
It can't be profitable. It's got to take more to set that all up than it would be that you're bringing in.
Yeah, I would wonder almost if those are paid shows, then it's a flat fee versus what they draw. But
right.
Either way, I don't like it either way. They could draw 1 million people, honestly. I don't care how many people are in the stadium. It's just not a good idea, especially with the wild card rule.
Yeah.
If half your SmackDown guys are on Raw, seriously, who is there? And at this point, the people that do go kind of should be aware, like, oh, well, this show's probably not going to be that good.
Right. And then, what does that say to the talent? Oh, you're not good enough to be on TV this week? Like,
yeah, you're at Dumpville.
Yeah.
I was going to say a state, but I feel like I'd be insulting the state. But you know what I mean.
You can insult Illinois all you want.
Whoa, actually, I was going to say Wisconsin. But anyway.
Illinois is pure garbage. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying anything.
I had to drive that entire state from the very northernmost border to the tiny little chunk of land where one side is Missouri, the other side is Tennessee. But you've been in Illinois for 8 hours, and you're still
I've been in Missouri.
I hate Illinois.
Illinois and Brock Lesnar. All right, now we know what gets to you. So.
Yeah, now think of those two, like if Brock Lesnar moved to Illinois, we could just tank the whole state and be done with it.
Wow. All right.
I mean, they got the Bears, really?
Chicago Bears. Hey, football season's coming up, actually.
Go Pack and the Bears.
Hey, they cut Mike Daniels, though, the Packers. That was a surprising move, but we're not going to talk about it.
We're diehards.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about football. So, closing thoughts, good show?
I loved it. I thought it was a great show, but like I said, not much to keep me going. I mean, I'm a diehard fan, so of course I'm going to tune in just to see what's going to happen. But they really didn't get the casual viewer anything to look forward to for next week. So
no, absolutely not.
Nostalgia was great, but, what are we doing now?
Yeah, it's a year-round company. You're not a one-night,
Exactly.
The beat goes on, as they say.
Yep.
And they do go on. Unfortunately for me, though, I forgot. Well, I didn't forget, but either way, this topic was from a few days ago. I think this was mostly about the long women's match last week on Raw, not the reunion show, the one before that. And I got this question on Twitter. And it was just kind of like, it was just more about fans versus hecklers.
Yeah.
And it's from Cable Guy Chris, so shout out there. What are your thoughts? Can fans say / do whatever they want? I mean, the ROH thing just recently happened.
Right.
Is that guy in the right, regardless of what he said? I mean, to get spit on and then taken backstage?
Yeah.
I mean, where's the line?
It's hard to, because you pay your money, so you are a paying customer and have a right to, voice your opinion, obviously. It's I think when they talk about the match, it's fine. Like, even if it is, this is boring or this is awful, at least they're commenting that they're paying attention. It's when they start chanting other people's names or just the random stuff, or, what really gets me is the beach ball after WrestleMania. It's like these guys are putting their bodies on the line to entertain you. The least you could do is watch. I mean, why did you pay for a ticket if you're not going to watch the match? So, to me, I think, freedom of speech and all that, you have a right to voice your opinion. I think that, personally, there's a line of respect that should be adhered to, and I think a lot of people cross that, and I'm not going to defend those guys one iota. You have to respect somebody as a human being. So calling them names and whatnot, you got to understand, it's entertainment. They're putting on a character, so if you're, attacking them personally or whatever, that's obviously crossing the line.
Yeah, a lot of this goes back to actually a sign I think I saw this week in the crowd. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Possibly.
But I've seen it before at events, but the sign was held up, and the sign just said, "The person behind me can't see."
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
And I mean, again, freedom of speech, fan can do, paid his money. But you're just doing that to be a jerk.
Right. I mean, why couldn't you hold a sign in front of you? It's going to be seen.
Yeah, hold it in front of your own face.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's going to be seen, obviously.
Or, hold the sign up with your name on it, or hold your name up with your favorite person, or even your least favorite. Say he sucks.
Yeah. I saw a sign once in the audience that said, Watry is garbage.
Oh, I see that every day. But the thing about it is, like, you're doing that for one purpose.
Right.
And it's the same when you show up at an event. I'm sorry. I mean, this always happens. If you're wearing, an AEW shirt or wearing a sign, and then you show up in the front row, and then you get upset when security says, can you,
yeah.
You either flip it inside out or they give you a shirt to wear.
I mean, you got a free shirt out of the deal.
I mean, and then people go, "Oh, freedom of speech!" Like, "Oh, you're doing it for one reason,
right? You're trying to get noticed, and you're taking attention away from the actual product.
You know why you're doing it, and then you get upset and mention all these rules and laws, which actually are not true. Because if you look at your ticket and
you
listen,
are subject to all of that.
Yeah, and there was a thing even at Summerfest with Nintendo, and it was like if you go in here, there was like a room, and there were cameras, and there's this really cool setup. And it just said, if you enter,
your face and likeness can be used. Yeah, by entering this, you can, and even at Raw tapings, they have that posted all over the front door.
They have it
by
everywhere.
By entering the premises, you give consent for your likeness to be used.
And then they give a pre-recorded message about it. If basically, I mean, it's a big long spiel they give, but it's basically if you're an idiot, then you're the idiot.
Right, exactly.
Don't then turn around and say, because you're at a private event. They're running the show.
Yep, they paid to be there.
I mean, you don't go to a Big Bang Theory and like boo while they're trying to film.
Yeah, you'd get kicked out.
And then get upset when you get kicked out. Oh, come on, I'm just at the show. Like, so there is that fine line. I'm fine with the, character, you suck and all that. I don't know about the whole boring and all this crap, but I don't know. I think they can express how they feel.
Yeah.
We talked about this off air, but my thing was always, turn your back and silence.
Right. I mean, that would speak volumes. If, like, the crowd went flat, I mean, obviously then they need to change something about the match.
Yeah, nothing is worse than an empty crowd or even a silent crowd during a big match. And it's very, it's very telling. And if the crowd's chanting Roman sucks or whatever, it's like, okay, at least there's an atmosphere to the match somewhat.
Right. I remember seeing one thing, and I think I tweeted to Cena, who obviously did not read it or didn't care, but there was a point where he was like he was probably champion for the 14th or 15th time, having these matches every night on Monday. And the crowd is going nuts. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. And I thought to myself, whether they're saying let's go or sucks, there's one constant.
Yes.
And that is they're saying his name. And the same thing with Roman and all that. So, I mean, if they're chiming in like that, obviously they're paying attention to what you're doing. Whether they like you or hate you, they're watching you.
Yeah, and actually every time they did the Let's Go Cena, Cena sucks chant, regardless of who was in the ring, I always thought that was disrespectful to the other opponent because they didn't even get a name in this.
Right.
Everything was about Cena.
Everything was about Cena.
But then I think it was, I could be wrong about this, but it was either CM Punk or AJ Styles when they had their match at whatever SummerSlam it was. Again, Cena's fought both at SummerSlam, but it was Let's Go Cena, and then instead of Cena sucks,
that was AJ, I think.
It was AJ Styles, and then for CM Punk. So, you can voice your displeasure for someone, but you can also take that energy and then give it to the other guy.
One of the loudest crowds I can ever remember was that Money in the Bank in Chicago.
Yes.
CM Punk and John Cena. Just the
that
energy.
Was... I was thinking about that the other day because I always just kind of, like, oh, I got an hour, I'll watch a match or something.
Right, yeah.
And that was my match of the year 2011. I thought it was great. And we always talk about goosebumps.
Right.
Like when you get like chills, like this is such a great moment. I did not get them for that ending or the entrance or anything. I got them from start to finish. I had like 45 minutes of me just sitting there in goosebumps because of the build and everything around it. And obviously the atmosphere with the crowd. Now you go back and watch that, or even Rock and Hogan. Now imagine the backs of everyone, turned and complete silence.
Right. Yeah.
Completely different. And that would be them saying, we don't want this match. This sucks and everything. But obviously they didn't. They loved every second of it, and it showed. So I think the women, if I'm being honest, no, I didn't enjoy the women's match on Raw 2 weeks ago. And if you notice this week, women didn't get a whole lot of time.
They really didn't, yeah.
So they took notice, and unfortunately for them, but I don't know, there's a way to do it and then a way not to do it.
I mean, use it to get better, If they're not liking your match, then put on a better match.
Right, and even if Bliss, I think it was, did tweet disrespectful or whatever,
Yeah.
you know what? She's smart enough to be like, okay, what went wrong?
Right. Obviously, she felt disrespected, but then she's like, well, why? And, look at the film.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm being honest, I could tell you why. It was because it was Naomi, Carmella, and Natalya in there.
Well,
for facing Becky Lynch, who honestly, Bliss probably could have been facing Becky Lynch.
yeah. I mean, that would have made the most sense.
So if we're being honest, that's probably why.
And
It was
SummerSlam. Like, why would... I don't know.
Yeah, or even Nikki Cross.
I mean,
Nikki and Becky could have done something, but that's my reason for probably
makes me
why the
wonder if
crowd
we should be writers.
No, some say I'm still not a writer, but I'm just saying that, that's probably why. I don't necessarily have to do with match, but when you see those three and then Bliss, and it's like, wow, this is for SummerSlam, there's no way.
Right.
So either way, that's a little topic to think about, but we just mentioned him, CM Punk.
Yes.
CM Punk, your man.
Well, he's adamantly stating it's nothing AEW related. He's just there because it's in Chicago. And
he does one signing a year, one meet and greet.
Yep. I mean, kudos to him. I'd pay to see him, but I'm not driving down to Chicago.
I'm sure the payday is worth, just doing one a year.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
could probably live off it. But the title, I'm going to plug here, ESPN.com. Go check it out. The future is filled with everything but wrestling for CM Punk.
That makes sense.
That's the title.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. He's adamantly refusing to do anything wrestling related. So.
Not a whole lot of wiggle room on that one.
Yeah.
And I think the question and answer thing for this article, because there's a lot of article and then inside is like an interview if you go to it and read it. And, they obviously talk about other stuff and everything, but, I think it's like 6 or 7 questions. The guy doesn't ask if you're returning, but asks it in a way. And then every time he tries to sidestep it, they go right back to it. And then it's like, are you sick of being asked this? And then it's like, do you understand why you're being asked this? He's like, do you get, though, that you will be asked this? And it just kind of kept going to it. And he pretty much says, no, I'm not. And then he even, I thought, took a little shot at AEW. He wrote, here's a little quote here. He says, I know they talk about me a lot.
Right.
He says, if I text Matt Jackson, hey, have a great show tonight, which I did with their big show in Vegas,
right,
that somehow turns into Tony Khan telling people he has a great relationship with me.
We're in contact with him.
He loves us.
If I text Cody Rhodes, something like that, and I say, hey, this or whatever, he's like, oh, yeah, I've been in contact with CM Punk forever. Yeah, we just talked. We're
we
great
just texted
buds.
last night.
Yeah, we're totally in cahoots.
So to me, I don't know, that seemed a little, I don't want to say dirty, but if that's what it is and the Young Bucks are saying, yeah, we talk, we're great. I mean, if it's a text saying good luck with your show, I mean, I don't want to say that they're lying that they have a good relationship, but
I think they're maybe
stretching the truth.
Stretching it just a little bit because they know that it's going to be noted in all the IWC forums.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that they want to keep name dropping them and all that, and here's the other quote I was going to read. They do videos where they talk about me. They're constantly talking about me in the media.
Yeah.
And again, maybe this sounds like I'm badgering them, but I'm not. It's just something that happens. I'm a popular guy to talk about. I'm not doing interviews talking about them.
Right.
So
in an interview talking about
and then it
them.
says if people which this guy also keeps bringing up, but it says if people ask me about it, I say no, I won't be there. He's saying he will not be there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he's hiding it, he's doing a very good job of hiding it.
And I think so now this is going to be the fourth question.
I think he'll show up in a mask.
Again, he literally follows that answer up with, just to be completely clear, there's nothing imminent. So he just keeps asking it.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure they kind of went over the questions a little bit. But the next part I was going to say here was this is where it seemed almost insulting because, again, they ask, was an offer made? So, again, they keep going to it. And he says, it was texted through 3 people and an offer came through in text. This was like a month ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And he just says there's a general offer. And then he says texting offers isn't really a way to do good business.
Right. He'd rather, I mean, obviously, you want to approach him in person.
And then he says, I've always said if somebody wants to do business with me, they can come and talk to me. And even after he walked out, and then I think Triple H texted him or something a few months later. Right. He even said, just, give me a call. We can talk. Like, that even tells me that he honestly probably would have returned.
Maybe.
If they sued things over after a few months. But then, obviously the wedding day stuff. So
yeah.
What did you?
You know, if CM Punk needs a place to hang out, the lab is always open.
What did you take from this interview? Is it he's not going to be there, or is this just he's going to be in town, and that offer there'll be another offer, and then he will show up, so he can always say I didn't lie, but then they made another offer.
Right. It's hard to place this guy sometimes because you kind of want to see him return, but at the same time, it's kind of like. Are we? You can't really tell. He's that good of a character actor that you just can't really tell.
I do believe him about the UFC part. He says every time he sees the number, he thinks in his head, "Oh, this is it. I'm cut."
Yeah, right.
So I do believe that part. I think he obviously knows at this point he is done, which is why one of my bold predictions of the year was he'd return to wrestling. But I don't know.
He did wear a mask.
I've been getting some DMs on Twitter about this, about Punk, because I'm guessing I'm being asked because of my little stuff about him training in Milwaukee.
Right.
All I keep going to is a quote I was given from his, somebody close to him. And it was just basically, I've said this before in columns, so nothing new here, but he will consider himself a failure at life if he ever returns to WWE. And that's as strong as you can get. But but that's completely strong. That's something like on the gravestone, a failure at life if he ever returns to WWE. Now, of course, that's WWE.
Right, not
He
wrestling.
never said, I'll never have a match again and all this. So the interview ends, of course, with, by the end of 2020, will CM Punk be involved with pro wrestling in any way? Do you know what he said?
What'd he say?
He said, I doubt it. And then the interviewer said, but it's possible. So again, this interviewer just doesn't
give it up.
And then he says, anything is possible. And then he kind of goes on this long rant about people telling him what he should do.
Right.
And then how he's going to do what he does. He's a different kind of animal, all this stuff.
If the scenario fits, if he wants to do it, if it's something that he's enjoying, why not? Do what makes you happy. If he's just honestly not loving it, don't be mad at the guy for not doing it.
Yeah, and that was something he actually had mentioned in the interview about, UFC. Like, if it's not fun anymore, if he's not going to get a fight and all this stuff, is he going to keep doing it?
Right.
Which I don't think he will, but I guess you never say never with him. And I guess we will then wait to see what he figures out. But speaking of AEW, TNT.
October 2nd, we have confirmation.
Finally, confirmation.
Liftoff.
You are right. We have liftoff. TNT, I think it was like a 2-minute promo video on Twitter. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Don't know if you saw it, but it was excellent. Obviously, they showed all the high flying, all the cool stuff. And then, yes, they showed Jericho. You want to show the familiar faces.
Of course.
Awesome Kong. They showed all that stuff. And then, it was just Elite and all this stuff. And then TNT coming this fall. I thought it was a very well done promo. I think it's excellent. Wednesday night fits. I think they said the only show they won't have, I think Christmas Day or something, will be preempted, which is fine. Obviously, it's a holiday.
Yeah, it's a holiday. There shouldn't be anybody working on Christmas.
No, they shouldn't be doing
or
it. Or
holiday of your choice. Check your local listings.
Right. I would always say they could air whatever pay-per-view there is, All Out. I mean,
Why
it'd be
not?
a few months old. So
Yeah.
I think people that paid for it would be
Air taping, yeah.
Yeah, they'd be okay with that, I think. Or the other idea, I think the cruise is after, but I saw another idea that the cruise, they could air the cruise, because I'm sure somebody's recording it somewhere.
Got to be. I mean, there's got to be film of that somewhere.
But this kind of leads into what I thought was the biggest news from the conference call. Okay. So WWE did their usual financial crap. We don't need to bore you with the numbers.
Right.
But he mentioned perceived competitor AEW.
Right.
So in other words, he's saying, well, other people think it is, but, it's perceived that they're...
Well, he's never going to let on that anything frightens him.
No, and I don't think AEW should, honestly. Not now, at least, but, down the road. But anyways, so his big quote was that he can't see TNT tolerating the... blood and guts for too long.
Right. I mean, obviously, when you're on a big cable network, you got to think about the sponsors, people paying for their commercials to be on that. Some of them might not want to be associated with, cuts to the forehead and angry chair shots and
unprotected,
a blood-stained ring.
Yeah, and a whole lot of other stuff. I think even wasn't one of the matches a guy was in tacks and barefoot or something.
Oh yeah.
Or I know what's it, Joey
Janela.
Yeah, I know they kind of do some ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, he had at Double or Nothing. He had a cigarette like stuck to his forehead.
Oh yeah, in the Battle Royal, right?
Yeah, in the Battle Royal, and I thought that was stupid.
Whoa.
Sorry, I'll blurt that one out.
That'll be blurted out. I think it's at the hour something.
I try not
mark.
to say that.
No, but I think the guy's name is it Jimmy Havoc? Is he another guy?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's another guy. I just
Blood
don't,
and guts kind of guy.
I just don't know how TNT is going to react to that. I mean, for all we know, they could have given the green light and say, do your thing, but
do whatever you do.
If it crosses a line, we'll let you know.
Right. Like USA did with DX back in the day.
Yeah, where Pillman's got a gun.
Oh, yeah, that was nuts. Wow.
Yeah, so the other part of it was Vince saying he can't be in the weeds. So does this mean XFL is really going to take his focus?
I think it's a little bit of that. I think he might be kind of understanding that the product is, definitely needs some fresh air imbibed into it. So maybe he's like just letting some other people have a little way with it and hoping that it turns out for the best. He can always pull the reins back whenever he wants. He owns the place.
Yeah, I like how it's that he's going to take a step back and kind of watch the macro more than the micro.
Right.
And then the very same day, we have a story about him arriving at 4 o'clock and rewriting
the whole show.
And rewriting SmackDown because he didn't like the show.
Yeah, well.
Is that Bischoff first day on the job? Welcome to the team. You're not in charge.
I don't know. We don't know what Bischoff is doing.
We still don't know what he's. Yeah. That feels to me like a little bit of a message. Vince walked in and was like, "Oh, how's everything?"
Right.
Rips it up in front of him and was like, "Nope." So that's what that took to me. We have one last topic here. We're trying to rush through this a little bit, but we have one last topic, and this was something the WWE Network might be on some tiers, some different pay levels.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a free one,
right?
A current one, $9.99, and then the VIP, which will be, I think it's $12.99 or $14.99, whatever it is.
Okay.
So if you had any ideas or anything of how would this, like, how would you do it?
I think that they're going about it in a decent way. I like that they keep the price that we've always been paying as one of the tiers, which I think is smart because who wants to pay more for getting the same thing?
Yeah.
I think it'd be depending on what they have coming to the VIP. I know that they have other promotions and stuff like that, but I could definitely see it as like a way for other promotions to showcase their stuff.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this of like how would you do each one? Like for instance, what would the free, what would the current? So here's what I came up with, and you can feel free to steal this if you want. So this was just me kind of spitballing a little bit in my head. So in my mind, the free tier would just be the live stream. Okay. So whatever's on at whatever hour of the day, whatever they're airing, old pay-per-views, ride along, whatever.
Right.
But for pay-per-views, it would cut out. It would show something else for that 3 hours or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Same with the takeovers. I mean, they could just air whatever they wanted, but not for that. That you don't get. The $9.99 one, you get what you're already getting.
Right.
Okay, so nobody's getting screwed over. Nobody's feeling like they got, bummed out on anything. For VIP, here's where it gets interesting. For VIP, for the VIP portion of the network, here's my idea. So you're going to get everything you already got, right?
Okay.
So everything we're already paying for, $9.99.
Right.
But then you're going to get Evolve. Then you're going to get, I think Shimmer is one of the women promotions they want to work with.
Okay.
And then you're going to get a Smackville. And whether...
like a live special every so often?
Yeah, Smackville is this Saturday. It's whatever. But, then you're going to get all that stuff. So that's what my idea is for VIP. So everything you're already getting, but now all these little specials, or even like the Japan one, if you remember a few years ago.
Yeah. Beast from the East or something like that.
Yeah, that one. Then you would get that. You would get the Evolve. And if they want to bring back Stone Cold Podcast, this time without Dean Ambrose ruining it, anything like that, then that's part of the VIP. And then I'm trying to think like if you could get anything else. I don't know what else you could get. A T-shirt when you order. Yeah,
maybe something like
the
that.
Old pay-per-views.
Championship belt.
That'd be nice.
Right. No, I think you're onto something there. I think the more you pay, the more you get. I mean, there's already so much.
Yeah, there is a lot. I just think that extra $2 or $3, I think getting the other promotions
Right.
would be worth
Would
that.
definitely be worth it.
And then they could air, the live specials whenever.
Right.
They could split the costs and do all that fun stuff. And I think they'd probably make their money back. And again, they'd keep the subscribers already. It's not like people would drop off. You're already paying what you're paying.
Right.
So nothing would really
So then
change
you see-
there.
Yeah.
And then the free one, I think, would just basically be an app. Like you just, what's on right now? And then
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
turn it
Something-
on.
Something to kill time with.
But I almost still feel that might be giving away too much because they probably would air some good stuff at some point during the day.
Right, but none of that is PS3 compatible, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Are you still bitter about that?
Little bit.
A little bit.
Apparently, they sent an email out about changes coming.
Are you still watching on your phone?
Yeah, I got it.
Come on.
That's the only thing I got, man.
So the real question of all this is, are you watching Smackville?
Oh, it's on my phone, so I might.
I think we're getting, I think it's Balor versus Nakamura,
Ooh.
and then it's Joe, Kofi, and Dolph.
You think Fiend will show up?
I doubt it. And then I think we're getting a Elias concert. Those are the three advertised. That's why we're tuning in for Smackville.
Yeah. I mean, I might if I'm bored.
If you're bored. Honestly, right now, I do not plan on watching it. That's something like I can watch, a different
Anytime,
time. Yeah. I mean, there's not going to be a title change or
Right.
anything like that. But hey, if The Fiend shows
now you
up.
say it.
No, there won't be. If The Fiend shows up.
You heard it here first, folks.
They've heard a lot of things here first. If The Fiend If The Fiend shows up, though, I'd almost have The Fiend versus a title change.
I mean, yeah, it would be interesting and intriguing, and it'd be cool to see.
Especially because if the title changed, that would mean Kofi's screwed or Nakamura loses it right back to Finn Balor. And I don't think.
And then Fiend takes it.
Oh, I don't know. Would you want that? Nakamura just started his run.
No, I would not. Actually, I think Nakamura should hang on to it for a little while.
I think he should also. Any closing thoughts on the network tiers or anything in general before we duck out of here?
No.
No.
I think we pretty much covered it. We had a fun show on Monday. I hope that they can keep the momentum going, although I don't know how they can. But it'll be interesting to see. And, let's get some SummerSlam build. Let's get excited for this already.
Yeah, let's get some SummerSlam build, which kind of leads me to next week. I'm already thinking a podcast. Should we do a SummerSlam list or something? SummerSlam?
Yeah. Why don't we ask the listeners?
I think it's
time.
time.
Give us a SummerSlam topic.
Something to count down. I think it's time for a return
All five
of a
of you.
All five.
And didn't you say Morocco? There's one in Morocco?
There's one in Morocco, but there's a ton more.
Well, how about the Morocco guy, dude?
Morocco, whoever
give us
you
a
are.
SummerSlam list.
5 of you. Come on.
I don't know. You don't show me numbers.
No, it is a million times more than 5.
A million? What?
That's why it's so weird that Morocco is one.
Well, I mean, they are a fantastic.
It's not millions, but it's thousands. But that's why it's so funny is that it's one in Morocco, and there's another. There's another place too that's just one, and then
I
you
hope
see
it's like Vietnam or like Myanmar, or we go over there and like we're just huge in Morocco.
What was
for some
what was the tweet? U.S. is the main one, and then it's U.K., then it's Australia, and then I think it's Japan actually.
reason. Oh, really?
And then then you see random pinpoints
We
where
should
there's
do a tour.
where there's literally one, and it was so funny. It's Morocco and somewhere else too. I'm gonna look now. I need to find out who it is. But either way,
You should see if your employers can get a tour going. It might be fun.
a tour. By the way, apparently, I think we talked about this last week, but they're gonna do like a Lex Express to promote SmackDown.
I saw that. This is reminiscent of the 90s, man.
They're gonna drive around promoting SmackDown.
Right.
If you had to pick, who's the driver?
Lex Luger.
I don't think Luger's driving a bus
Well,
around.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's the Lex Express.
Well, the SmackDown
Express.
lay down the SmackDown. I don't know who the heck you have driving. Is it Roman Reigns? Is he going to go on a national tour? It's probably going to be The Miz, but he's not
they're
even
already
on
on tour. If you think about it, they're everywhere.
Actually, that is true.
So it's just basically one guy gets a bus for a week.
Pretty sure CM Punk has a bus.
Yeah, he did.
Oh boy.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna close this out here. I'm gonna give my usual plugs. You can follow me on Twitter at Justin Watry. Lots of good stuff always on there. 411mania.com, where you can find all my amazing columns. You can listen to this podcast, 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and of course YouTube. All those amazing sites. Steve, what do you got?
Hey, we have the Resonant Complex. Our debut album, North Avenue, is available everywhere digital music is sold. Yeah, that's it.
That is it. And you're going to listen to the Resonant Complex in 3, 2, 1.
Do you ever look around and hate what you see? Or maybe it's time for a little anarchy.